So, welcome back. This is the third installment of the vodcast for 391D, Institutionalizing the Geek. I am Nick Stangus, this is Ben Murphy and Steve McKinley. This episode is going to be an all-special Modern Warfare 2 episode involving talking about the mission No Russian. So, ready to start?
Yep.
Alright, so for a little background info, this mission is in the single-player campaign mode of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It involves a U.S. soldier going undercover for the Russians, and in it, the single player is undercover and has the option of basically murdering civilians in an airport. And this mission is so much different than any other mission because of the fact that you kill innocents. The animations are a lot different. You just have a lot of decisions to make. So we're having one of our friends play it and see what his reaction is.
No Russians.
Yeah, you shot your buddies there, Jared. So what did you think of the violence in the video game there?
It's pretty violent.
Too violent?
Too violent. I don't know. I mean, I guess things happen. I mean, you know.
Okay.
It's probably not too far off from, real things.
So, I'd like to get your guys' take on when you played the mission.
The first time I played through it, I was a bit confused as to what was actually happening, as Jarrett was, obviously, although he's mostly confused about everything. But when I first played it, I couldn't figure out what was going on until I noticed everybody dying, and then I was like, alright, now I know exactly what's happening, because as you walk off the elevator, you got no idea what's going to happen, right? You walk out of the elevator and they say, no Russian, and they start gunning down everybody. And I fired a few pot shots, I will confess. Might have killed a couple of bleeding dudes in the ground out of their misery, I guess. But yeah, it was pretty violent. And it was fairly shocking to play. It was one of the more disturbing video game experiences there is, I think. What do you feel, Ben?
Well, it's like painful to see people crawling around, bleeding.
Yeah.
But it's still only a video game.
I feel like in video games a lot, you don't have that almost to death. You get either alive or dead most of the time. Your characters are either healthy and well, or they're blown up. Yeah. You never have that in between, that painful, bleeding, crawling around the ground, pleading for life kind of thing.
Right. That's why it was so different, because this is the only time in the game where the animations of the people are so gruesome. You see people that you've shot and they're crawling on the ground, dripping blood, pleading for their life, and you have the option to just kill them. It's an interesting scenario.
And then cops come out trying to protect these people, and you and your friends just gun them away.
Yeah.
Right. So when I played the game, Steve mentioned he killed a couple people. I went along with it wholeheartedly. I killed everyone I could. Saw people crawling on the ground, killed them. Cops. It didn't really matter to me because, as Ben said, it's still a video game. These pixels aren't going to really affect my life, even though the game is so realistic in comparison to other video games. But yeah, it didn't really bother me as much as other people, I guess.
So you didn't feel bad playing this video game at all?
There's a certain level of remorse, but I got over it pretty quickly.
Have you yet played a video game that really made you feel remorse? And
I mean, this was definitely the top experience of sort of like a shocking moment. Right when I got off the elevator, I was like, what the hell's going on right now? And then it sort of just snapped back where I was just like, I'll go along with it, whatever. Plus I didn't know I had the option of not killing people, which there is. You can not go through the level and not kill the civilians.
Or you can just skip the mission entirely.
Right. At the beginning of the game, there's a disclaimer that says there's some gruesome parts. You can skip it, and also right before you play the mission, you have the option to skip it, and it says it won't affect any of your later gameplay or anything like that. So for people who are a little on the queasy side or affected by these type of things, you do have the option to skip it, but it really is an integral part of the storyline.
What squeamish people really play Modern Warfare 2?
yeah,
Right.
sure.
At its base, it's a war game, and just because Modern Warfare 2 took it to the next level, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, even though how terrible the actions were.
Yeah, I agree. Although, I used to go through video games completely callously and not thinking about my actions until I think the first experience I had with actual emotional repercussions was through playing BioShock. I don't know if you've ever played that game, but it's saving or harvesting the little sisters, these little girls. You can choose to kill them or to save them, and I was just got done killing them, and then at the end it shows what would have happened if you had saved them and what became of those people, and it kind of really hit me for the first time in a video game where it actually connected emotionally.
Another part that they didn't include, which I think is probably a good thing, was they didn't really include any children or old people. I think the response, well, for me, I definitely wouldn't have really wanted to kill a little child or a baby in that type of game. So, to some extent, they kept it. I don't know, it wasn't too as bad as it could have been.
I didn't even notice there wasn't any kids.
Yeah.
Although
Like,
I think you would have noticed if there were.
Right.
true.
If there had been like children screaming and stuff like that, you'd have been. I think you'd have actually been almost terrified of what you were doing.
So, this game has caused it's probably the biggest controversy about this game. I know places in Europe, obviously around Russia, they either banned the game completely or took the mission out of the game because obviously they think it gives them a bad name. But I don't know. I didn't see the big deal with it.
It'd be kind of hard to have a game without this mission, though, as it was the stigmata for the entire
Right.
last half of the game.
So
Stigma, of course.
From this point, at the end of the mission. It turns out that the Russians had known you're undercover all along, and they end up murdering you and leaving an American laying at the crime scene to take the blame for what happened. So that really serves as the spark point for the rest of the storyline, in that we're trying to find the guy that was the head of this mission.
I think that's about it. Does you have anything else to say?
It's just, I don't know, you're portraying a terrorist act in order to catch a terrorist. It's kind of strange how far you go to stop things from happening.
Yeah.
Right, at the beginning of the mission it says this mission will take a toll on you, but the things you'll save by doing it will be far greater. So it's kind of for the greater good style, although it obviously doesn't work out for the Americans. That's what it is. So
Thank you for watching.
Concludes the third installment of our podcast. See you next time.
Yeah.